Hey guys, it's Max. We just got in the brand new iPhone SE 2, as I want to call it. And today we not only are going to be taking a look at it, we're also going to be comparing it to the iPhone 11 and the iPhone XR. We're going to look at a wide variety of things, including things that you can't just figure out by the spec sheet, such as the displays. We're going to look at the speakers, we're going to take some photos, and we'll see which one of these you should spend your money on. Now, all of these phones do come with your regular earpods and then a 5-watt charger, and all of them do support 18-watt fast charging if you want to buy that separately. Now, let's go ahead and peel this off. It is very weird to hold another tiny little iPhone. I know if you guys had the original iPhone SE, it's not that small, but for me, using these larger phones, it is definitely small, but you guys can see the difference. It's very interesting. This red almost looks kind of pinkish. Let's see. Yeah, can you guys see the difference there? That is very interesting. This XR is also the product red, and it's a deeper, richer red than the SE. Now, I also noticed, obviously, this thing is really, really lightweight. Visually, it doesn't look that much thinner, but in your hands, you could definitely tell. This thing is incredibly small. I basically don't even feel it in my pocket, and I don't remember what it was like to use such a small phone. So the next difference is we have Touch ID. Now, I really, really like Face ID. Both the iPhone XR and the iPhone 11 feature that. Now, right now, if you're covering up your face, that's one area that the Touch ID does work better at. I love being able to just flick up and you're there on the home page. It is a little bit faster. Actually, I may be wrong. Maybe it is faster just to press and be logged in automatically. I mean, that is pretty quick. They're both pretty quick. One thing you can do with the XR and the 11 is just tap to wake up the phone, whereas with the SE, it will raise to wake, but tap to wake doesn't work. Now that it's on, let's compare the displays. So you guys see there is a massive difference. Now with the SE, we have this really big bottom chin, and then we have that forehead there, whereas with the 11 and the XR, we have this fairly thick bezel that runs all the way across on the sides and top of the phone, and then we have the Face ID cutout. This is 4.7 inches compared to 6.1, and you guys can see the difference in real estate. Of course, the benefit of that is that I can actually reach pretty much everywhere. I can pull down to get my lock screen over here, and then for control panel, you actually pull up, just like the older iPhones, and then for multitasking, you do a double click. With the 11 or the XR, I can kind of shift it around and reach up here, but definitely is a stretch. But I do really like the multitasking, how Apple designed it, and then just being able to flip back and forth between apps. It is really quick. Now the SE screen has a lower resolution, but because it's smaller, it's actually just as sharp and detailed at 326 pixels per inch. As far as brightness and contrast, they are rated all identical. But if we look at these side by side, it actually looks like the iPhone 11 is brighter. Let me grab the iPhone XR. Let me see that again. Does the SE actually look slightly brighter? What do you think? Yeah, it looks slightly brighter to me, even though they're rated the same. So it looks like the SE is brighter than the XR, but the 11 is slightly brighter than the SE. With it being smaller, lighter, and thinner than the iPhone XR and the 11, I'm wondering, how do the speakers compare? So put on your best pair of headphones and let's take a listen. You guys go ahead and let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. I'll give you guys my opinions, and I guess I should have expected it. It sounds like old iPhones used to sound. So it's not terrible, but it definitely is quieter than the iPhone 11 and the XR. It has less bass. It sounds more like popping sounds. And then the biggest thing that really stood out to me is it doesn't sound as even. When I'm holding it in my hands, I hear a lot more from this bottom firing speaker than I do from the front facing speaker. Apple really improved that with the latest phones. I know the iPhone X also had that where it was not balanced. So if you're looking for a great experience to watch different movies, go on YouTube, definitely the iPhone XR or 11 is going to be better because of the larger screen and the better speakers. Now, not everybody watches a bunch of videos on their phone, but most people do take photos, and this is a really big strong suit of the iPhone SE. Let's go ahead and just compare the camera bumps with the XR. These cameras are actually identical, but the SE has newer hardware and software for the CPU. So it's interesting to see the difference in camera bumps. The whole circle is actually smaller. And then if we look at them side by side, the camera bump doesn't stick out as much. It's more rounded and with softer edges. And that's interesting because the phone is thinner and the camera bump is smaller compared to the XR. Comparing it to the 11, this has this much larger camera module and it has an extra lens, but Apple did actually really make the camera bump really minimal as far as how much it sticks out. Very similar with the SE, even though the sensors here are different. Now flipping around to the front side, I've heard a lot of people mention that the 7 megapixel camera of the iPhone SE is the same one that's on the XR, just like the rear cameras are the same, but it's very interesting that if I go to Video tab over here, the SE will only let me do 1080p 30 frames per second, whereas the XR allows for 1080p at 60. That leads me to believe that the cameras are different because the processor in here is faster than the XRs. And then if I grab the iPhone 11, this thing will actually allow me to shoot 4K 60 with the front-facing camera. You can actually go wider if you have more people to fit into the frame, which is nice. The other two can't do that. And this guy's a 12 megapixel front-facing camera. Now here are 3 just regular selfie shots side by side without that wide mode. You guys let me know if you guys see any differences. Now even though the iPhone SE doesn't have the whole sensor array like we have in the XR and the 11, Apple still allows you to use the selfie portrait mode option, which is very interesting. And here you guys see a comparison between them. And even though the camera likely is even older than the iPhone XRs, you see that the software differences try to make up for some of that. And with the XR's photo, it's using older software. You guys see my shirt is all blurred out, whereas on the SE2 and the 11, it's not. Now, another difference between these cameras is that the iPhone 11 can take portrait shots of regular objects. So you guys see this lens is blurred out, where on the other ones, it's not. And with the iPhone SE or the XR, if you try to do a portrait shot of anything else, you just get this little notice that says no person detected. Apple allows you with the SE to use all of the effects for the portrait shots, but they don't give you that on the XR. And the iPhone 11 is the only one that has night mode to take nighttime shots, which is very weird for me. This is a software thing. The SE could have had it. They're giving you other software features, and even the portrait front-facing selfie mode is all software. We're not using the hardware like the other two. Why not allow the SE to have night mode as well? And the last difference I want to cover is the ultra-wide lens that is included with the iPhone 11. It's not a necessity really. I mainly use the standard lens, but it is nice to have sometimes. Here's what it would look like in this situation. I personally wouldn't use it here, but it is nice. I'm going to be doing a full comparison between these cameras and taking a much more detailed look at the differences in software and hardware. So make sure you guys are subscribed so you guys don't miss out on that video. And now for what's probably the most exciting thing about the iPhone SE, and that is that it has Apple's best processor, the same A13 Bionic that is in the $1,100 iPhone 11 Pro Max. And if we compare it to the XR, this has Apple's A12 processor. And one difference we do have between the iPhone 11 is that the iPhone SE and XR, they both have 1 gig less of RAM, but I have Geekbench 5 open in front of me, so let's go ahead and run our CPU test. Now the A12 in the iPhone XR isn't a bad processor, but the A13, it is faster, it is more efficient, and you'll know that with this processor, you're gonna have at least 5 years of software updates, even though this phone costs less money. So the iPhone XR took way longer to finish, and you could see that the SE's single core performance is getting close to being double of the XR, and the multi-core is also much, much higher. And the SE pretty much matches up with the iPhone 11. So that is a big difference in CPU performance. And as far as graphics performance, once again, the iPhone SE is close to twice as fast as the XR, and it actually slightly beat out the iPhone 11. Now, that is a massive difference in performance. Now, I know people that are buying the SE, they probably don't need that much, but what that means is that if you keep your phone for a long time, your phone is still gonna be fast years from now. Now let's talk about battery life. Even though the A13 is more efficient than older processors, Apple still rated the SE the same amount of battery life as the iPhone 8. The battery in here is quite small. I mean, I do expect it to do a little bit better in the real world, but it still will not compete to the iPhone 11 and the XR. These phones are much bigger. They have much bigger batteries, and you are going to get 1 to 2 hours extra of screen on time depending on what you're doing compared to the SE. So if you're somebody that loves to be on your phone all the time, if you're watching a lot of videos, listening to music, you're playing games, stuff like that, then it's nice to have the larger screen of the iPhone 11 and the better battery life. And if you're somebody that just wants a phone that's going to last a while, take great images, be very comfortable in the hand, have that great processor, that's where the SE really shines. So where does that leave the iPhone XR? It costs $200 more than the SE, but it's much weaker in terms of CPU and graphics. The camera quality isn't going to be as good. It has less features there. If you don't really care about performance, you just want to watch videos and have a larger screen to surf the web, Facebook, stuff like that, it might be a nice middle ground. But for only $100 more, you can have that same A13 Bionic, the ultra-wide lens, the better performance of the iPhone 11. So I think overall, it's probably a toss-up between these two phones. And when you put the price points into perspective, $700 versus $400, this is just such a good value. So if you don't mind the size of the display and the speakers and not having the ultra-wide lens, you really can't do much better than this. It does have the older design, you have Touch ID, but you have that processor and the updated cameras, and you get to use iOS. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. If you guys want to see the camera comparison, make sure you guys click that circle above to subscribe. And while you're at it, if you want to see another couple great videos, we have them right over there. This has been Max, and I'll see you in the next video.